This is a solo episode that I am recording this week because I was supposed to be taking a little break from recording podcasts, but I was like, you know what? I have not checked in with my gang since May, maybe. And so I was like, we're going to do a solo episode because I have a lot of things to talk about. I have a lot of things to process. And I said, I miss my podcast. So when we think about burnout prevention in general, sometimes the thing that we think about is let's take more things off of our plate. But that isn't actually the case. What helps us prevent burnout is doing things that we love. And every time I take a break from podcasting, I am reminded how much I love podcasting. I want to get back. I sent 2 pitches out this week. I am imagining the show and continuing to really solidify what I want the show to look like. And so it is not like taking it off of my calendar is not something that's going to help me prevent burnout. So that's something I continue to learn. I think sometimes part of it is evaluating the cadence of how often I'm podcasting. Am I talking to people that I actually really want to talk to? Being intentional about the guests that I bring on. So that's always the insight, but I think it's valuable to also take a break from the podcast because it helps me identify all of that. If I'm constantly churning out this long form content, if I'm constantly doing all of this processing while I am recording, then I'm not going to come back with these fire insights. How's everyone's summer going? I am really enjoying the summer in DC. I'm just enjoying being home, relaxing. I had traveled a lot last year. It was a lot for me. I'm not someone that is at the airport often. So the summer I was like, you know what? I'm gonna sit at home, hang with my dog, go to museums. I have an e-bike that I need to feel comfortable enough riding because I want to go places on it. I want to decrease how much I'm driving in DC. I want to decrease. I do love the metro, so that's also a thing that I do use. But I've just been home. I was a little depressed, just a little bit for a month maybe. And it was rough. I am not going to lie. It was definitely a more challenging season. And a lot of it was just uncovering the spaces that I had outgrown. I think also part of it is I am up for full licensure when this comes out, literally next week. So I'll be able to submit my paperwork and everything. And so just processing how hard it was to become a therapist, how exhausting the process was to now finally be done, do whatever the fuck I want, is amazing. It's so exciting. But I also just think I hit a creative rut. And I've had a few episodes where I talk about hitting a creativity rut with creating content. And it just wasn't resonating for me. And so for a bit, I had slowed down my cadence, how much I was posting. And what I realized when it comes to creating content, I really need to feel excited about the content. And so a real big pain point that I am tired of seeing in the creator space, the online space, is people creating courses and shit and thinking they can tell you what works for you when it comes to creating content. I have not worked with someone that has done this. I've never worked with someone that ever did that or I felt that way. But no one can tell you what will work for you to create content. And the biggest part of creating content is consistency, finding your original voice, not something that's manufactured, but finding your original voice, having some original ass ideas and bringing it to the forefront. And there is so much identity work. There's so much back end work that happens when it comes to creating content that I think a lot of people try to skip over. But it eventually comes up, especially when you clarify the purpose that you have for your content, the vision that you have for your content. This can also apply to your business if you're an entrepreneur. But when you get crystal fucking clear, the shit that's not working will be highlighted tenfold. And it's crazy how that works, at least for me. If it's not working, and the longer I'm doing it, my body will just crash out. And it doesn't feel good. It feels really yucky, but trying to bypass it, trying to ignore it is never going to do me any good. I'm also having some content FOMO around Canes this week. And I don't typically get FOMO. Like, I'm okay with being left out of some things. But I am using that FOMO to motivate me, to encourage me, to say like, okay, Jasmine, this is the kind of space that you want to be in. This is the level that you want to be at with your content. You want to be at Canes Lions? You want to speak at Canes Lions? Girl, you got to create that. You got to get your voice out there. You've got to get back to the cadence that you were at. You got to get up. Sometimes you just have to get up. I am someone that has struggled with clinical depression, like clinical. I've had multiple therapists too. I'm a pretty loyal gal. I've only had 2 therapists that I've worked with long term. But as much as it's been something that I have wanted to try and fix, as much as it is something that I wish was more situational, depression is like something that has plagued me. And so I have gotten better at moving through the seasons and recognizing when it is situational and when it is just that clinical nature just coming out, reminding me that it's still there. And I try to give myself a lot of grace when I am in those seasons. But I was talking about Canes Lions. I want to be at Canes Lions. But it's just a motivator. It literally is just a motivator. And next year, mark my words, I will be at Canes Lions. I'm manifesting it. I'm putting it out into the universe. I made a post today about content that I'm really not enjoying right now. And that's like people constantly selling things online. Every time you go to their profile, they're selling you something. Like if I follow them, I feel like I am one DM away from saying, hey girl, have you thought about outsourcing? No, I haven't. Especially if it's unsolicited. This is going to be my blanket statement. If I did not approach you, and I understand everyone wants to make their coin. Everyone wants to get to the bag. If I did not reach out to you, if we have never spoken a day in our lives, and you come in my DMs talking about here's how I can help you. I'm going to block you so fast. You are blocked as soon as you hit the send button to me. That's how quickly I've already pre-blocked you, actually. So this is just a message. I am not the one for unsolicited DMs. But the thing about constantly creating, like selling content, then your audience feels like this is a transactional space. You are simply here to get something from them. That is not how you build a community. That is not how you build resonance. That is not how you build a long-term sustainable social media profile. If every time you post something, your sole intention is to get a Stripe notification, that is not how you build community. A lot of people say they want audiences, they want community, they want people to stick around and want to hear their content, but they're constantly selling you something. Some of your content's just, the only ROI is to build engagement, to build a following, to build community, to add value to the person that's listening to your content. Sometimes that is that's the ROI that you should be looking for. Another piece of content that's really bugging me, like I'm getting so annoyed, is there's like an increase, an uptick, I feel like, in call out culture, specifically in like the therapist space, online coaching space. Here's my suggestion. If you are going to call somebody out, tag them. Oh, yeah, I'm messy. Tag them, at them, say their name so we know who you're talking about. Please don't make me go investigate who you're talking about. Don't make me like go digging to see the video that you're referencing. If you feel so bold, so empowered to call this person out, say their name, tag their profile, because you're getting clout from talking about them. Especially when I see smaller creators, even in the therapy space, when I see smaller creators like talk about like bigger creators, people who like have larger followings, so they know that their content will gravitate an audience, but that's literally their content shtick. They have no original content. They're not adding any value to the internet space. Tag them. I want to see what will happen. But I also hope that it encourages people to be more thoughtful about what they share online. I think we have gotten so comfortable with hiding behind a screen. We've gotten so comfortable with anonymity. We've gotten so comfortable with just subtweeting them that we forget that real people are on the other side of our hot takes, on the other side of our opinions. And it has created a space where people are just not nice, where people make statements about other people's character, other people's way, and without no thought that there's a real person. So in my mind, if you feel bold enough to say it, then say it to them. But if you recognize that what you're saying is actually harmful, I think it'll help people think twice about what they put online. Because I also don't think it's original content to just be talking shit about people. That's boring. That's old. That's like 2012 Twitter. It's not original. I'm not a huge fan of it. Selling content and subtweeting like it's Twitter, I'm over it in the content space. I think that has been the biggest plight that I have been working through this summer, is just like understanding the content space a little better, understanding my goals. I actually think I gave myself the ick. Because here's the thing. I was like posting, and I'm back to posting 2 to 3 times a day because I know what my goals are, and that's part of what's going to help me get there. But part of posting more and just being more visible, I like gave myself the ick. I'm like, who do I think I am? Why am I posting so much? Who is listening to me? And I was like, girl, people are going to see you spent your day posting 3 videos. You have no life. And I was like, Jasmine, this is literally what you're working toward. If you want this as a job and not a hobby, you're going to have to treat it like a job. You're going to have to clock the fuck in. It did take me a while, though, to get out of that, I gave myself the ick space. And that was such a new feeling, in the same way I'm having this feeling of FOMO, having this feeling of the ick towards myself. I think is real growing space. It actually means I'm pushing myself out of my comfort zone. I am pushing myself to dream bigger, to want more, to be uncomfortable, to want the things that I want. And that is not easy, because that also means I am pushing back against old narratives that told me who I was, what I wanted, who I am, what my career will look like, what my career may not look like. And so in talking about all of these uncomfortable feelings, the through line has also been identifying what is my inner voice? What is my inner voice telling me? And in what ways has my inner voice been impacted or influenced by someone else that probably did not have my best interest at heart, who truly was preying on my downfall? And that's really hard because sometimes our inner voice gets woven into the people who have had a really big influence on us, a really big impact on us. It could have been our parents. It could be really close friends. It could be teachers, professors, advisors, supervisors, managers, like these people who have really big influence over us. They have influenced our internal voice. And so when we go to think about things that we want to work towards, our internal voice might have actually been shaped by someone else and it's not actually ours. You might want to go to Cane's Lions, but that inner voice formed by your manager is like, who do you think you are to want to go? Why don't you just stay here? Why do you feel like you need to grow in that direction? Your inner voice might be telling you this relationship isn't working for me. And you might have an old friend or an ex who has shaped your internal voice and say, no, this is all you deserve. This is all you need to stay here. This is the best you're going to get. But no, there's actually better out there. This actually isn't working for me, and that's okay. And that's hard. That is some of the most challenging work that I have done, is to sit down and think about what is my internal voice and what is the internal voice shaped by someone else for me. Because there's a lot of grief that comes with that. There is a lot of I really loved that person, or I really cared about that person, and it just turned sour, or you realize that person really did not have your best interest at heart, and you woke up one day and you realize, wow, that person was not someone I need to have in my life. God, relationships are so interesting, right? Relationships are the cornerstone of truly so influential. I always go back to the phrase, you are the company that you keep. And as I continue to get clear on my goals, get clear on what I want my life to look like, what I want my life to feel like, that continues to reign truer and truer every day. I'm picky as hell when it comes to people that I have in my life. I had kind of back-to-back friend hangs. My friend Becca was in town for a conference, and then I had another friend, Paula, she was in town for a conference. My friend Paige had a sporadic layover, and she was like, do you want to get dinner? And I was like, hell yeah. You don't have to tell me twice. And then I had a trip to New York planned to see my friend Lauren. And I know that there is a version of me who maybe wasn't always excited to see their friends, who definitely would call out if they could, or I didn't have the relationships where I would say, absolutely, I'm on my way. And so to have friends, to have relationships now where I am so excited to see them, where the give and take is very reciprocal, is such a good feeling, especially as someone who did not get that from their family. So as someone who has had to learn how to create that interpersonally, not having the blueprint for it, it is so rewarding to see where things are right now and to feel completely content, satisfied with where things are. I've also just been hanging out with my dog, because I love him. I love my pet. I saw this post about dog fatigue, because I definitely think I can bring my dog anywhere, and I want to get him a stroller. There are bigger things to have fatigue over right now in 2026. Pets is low on that list for me, for a lot of people. There is so much to have fatigue over: the economy, the state of the world, this war, these gas prices. My local Costco closed, and so that's where I was getting gas. I have never so intentionally not driven my car. It is crazy. So all of this driving that I was doing, thankfully, again, I live in an area where public transit is readily accessible and affordable. I also try not to complain about the gas prices because I work from home. So it's just me choosing to stay home versus going somewhere or driving. But I was really missing that Costco gas station, that local Costco gas station. I was really missing it. I felt the absence, but it opened up last week, so I fill up. I've got some plans this weekend, so I'm happy to be able to get back into a regular routine and not avoiding a gas station. Who would have thought? But things have been good. Things are definitely in a much better space now. I have some new cover art that I just kind of threw up there because I was like, and hopefully this episode also embodies the direction that I want this show to go in. This is supposed to be a really fun show. This is a show about women, amplifying women's stories, about me, I guess. It's about mental health. It's about visibility. It's about lifestyle. It's about relationships. Yeah, when I think about visibility and what that word means, the goal is to not just be out there, put myself out there, but it's also to make visible topics that we're all thinking about, topics that all of us are plagued by. It's about creativity. It's about talking honestly about burnout. It's about talking honestly about struggling with creativity. It's about talking honestly about struggling with relationships and anything else that I feel like I want to make visible. Right? The visibility isn't just about being front facing or having a big following, but visibility is about using that platform, using that resonance to talk about important things that we're all sitting with, right? So I think that's what I've got for you all today. Please leave a comment, leave a rating. It means so much to me when I read comments, when I see ratings, because not only does it help grow the show, but it means that you sat down, took time to listen to my podcast, and that means the world to me. So I'm so happy to be able to have checked in on a Friday, and I'll catch y'all next week.